Okay, so let's pick up, heading back to World War I, getting started on what is going to become, at the time, the biggest war ever. Now, we're not going to spend much time on it, because basically what happens is the United States eventually gets involved, ends it, and it's over. So, we're spending some time talking about some of the spending a small time talking about some of the battles that don't involve the United States, kind of give you a hint to desperation, frustration on both sides as to why they can't knock each other out, beat each other, and how that really is going to, how a lot of innovation changes the way war is fought between the last major war we talked, the Spanish War, and this war. So before we get there, we need to look at some of the things going on in Europe. Deal with France first. France borders Germany right here. They realize they cannot stop, they are not powerful enough to stop a German assault. They can't do it. It's not possible. As a result, they sign a treaty of alliance with Russia. This treaty of alliance says that if Germany attacks France, Russia will attack Germany. Okay? And it works the other way too. If Germany attacks Russia, France attacks Germany. So it's a treaty of alliance between the two that say we are going to have each other's back if it comes to war. We have the treaty of alliance. Now, England, as we talked a little bit before, has been growing a little discontented with the way things are going at the time. They do not like the French. They haven't liked the French for a long time. You'll remember from history 1301. 1789 to 1815 is the French Revolution, in which England is cleaning up France's junk. They're trash. During the latter half of the 19th century, England is going to fight Russia in the Crimean War. Have you ever heard or read the poem, The Charge of the Light Brigade? Have you ever heard of that phrase? That happens in the Crimean War. When an English brigade is going to be completely obliterated by Russia. So they don't like France. They don't really like Russia. The only real option they have, therefore, is with Germany. So they're like, okay, Germany, kind of like, right? You're kind of like, last 2 o'clock, last call. Who's left? So, what is developing here is a series of alliances. We'll get a little bit further so you can see how these further involve other nations. But at the same time, you have all this industrial advance revolutions that are sweeping the landscape. And because they're industrial revolutions, they require raw materials. These raw materials are going to be used up in their home nations of all the major powers, and then they're going to get them somewhere else. In Africa, in the interior of Russia, going to have what's called the Great Game, Russia and Great Britain, in which they are making inward roads into China, which they are establishing colonies there. Russia is coming in from Pakistan and Kazakhstan, and Great Britain is coming north from their colonies in India, Burma, into China. And they are exploiting the natural resources of those lands. By 1914, 84% of the entire Earth's surface is controlled by European nations. Now, what does that have to deal with anything? If you're competing for resources, you're going to compete against other nations, and those other nations are eventually going to do what? Butt up against each other. When they butt up against each other, what happens? Sometimes wars take off. Now, try to prevent war from occurring. There had been 2 conferences at The Hague. This is in the Netherlands. hear about the World Court of The Hague. It's kind of like an early form of international organization body, The Hague. And in 1899, we would revise the rules of war, and we would ban certain types of warfare, such as bombing from the air, which is kind of funny because the airplane hadn't been invented yet. What do they talk about? Hot air balloons. All forms of chemical warfare, which that would be broken in World War I by the Germans, and hollow point bullets. Hollow point bullets were invented. Hollow point bullet goes in, it's got a little tip on it. When it hits something, it explodes. So, figures either on the inside, the outside. Now, why is that detrimental? What is the goal? The goal is in war to knock the other side army out. Don't suffer any kind of surge. Don't be able to pass them up, shot, take them off the battle. Now, in 1906, we're going to see a. I'm sorry, no, got to jump. We got to talk about the Hague Conference of 1907. 1907, all the participants, which the United States are going to sign a model of arbitration to deal with war, trying to outlaw war, make war a very much a last resort. Instead of going to war, we go with this option. It might be to, we would settle our two nations would settle their issues with third parties. The goal is to try to keep the war from occurring. Because really the stakes are getting so high. As technology increases, so does our weapons, so does the efficiency of so does our naval ships are getting bigger. They're getting more numerous. War is getting really, really big. Now, in 1906, there would be a conference held in Algeciras. This would be a call dealing with Morocco. The area of Morocco right here on the tip of Africa. Now you can see this map here is that France pretty much controlled most of it, but you can see the other areas that have colonies are being colonized by European powers. Only one area, Somalia, is not listed there. So England and France both claim to have a right to colonize Morocco. And this is called to deal with that issue and work out the problem. However, when they arrive, Germany shows up also and says, hey, we got a hand in this too. We got to roll this. That we're going to establish a colony there because we want to put some of the pie as well. Now, the way Germany treats it very aggressively is that it causes France to get very concerned about about Germany's action, and England starts pulling out of the alliance in any pursuit of an alliance with Germany, saying, "Now we don't want to deal with it. Just a little bit too crazy." So what we have. I'll rearrange the slides. So what we have by the time 1914 rolls around is this diagram in which you have treaties and agreements and all sorts of arrangements between other nations to support the other nation. Okay? You have France and Russia have a treaty of alliance that if Germany attacks, what will happen? They'll attack Germany, yes? Well, Britain has an agreement with Russia and France saying that if Germany attacks you, we'll jump in too. Okay? So what we have over here is Germany has the same type of agreement. Germany has an agreement with Austria-Hungary for the longest time. They're both Germanic nations. We will defend you if you are attacked. They have an agreement with Italy as well. And then in 1914, the Ottoman Empire is going to jump in as well. Ottoman Empire, don't talk much about because by the time we get to the 20th century, it's considered the old man of Europe. It's a nation years of history in about 30 seconds. Ottoman Empire fights everybody and pretty much gets to the gates of Austria. And that's it. Austria is able to stop them from coming further. That's it. Furthest expansion. But it takes over all these areas right here, Serbia, Albania, Montenegro, area, Croatia, all these areas. These are known as the Baltic states. Okay? Now, that's 700 years. First. Now, as the Ottoman Empire grows weaker, these nations, Serbia, Greece, Albania, they're going to break away. And they're going to be able to break. They're going to be able to defend themselves off the Ottoman. However, that doesn't mean other nations that Serbia is going to become vassal state. That they are serving the nation. They're not part of the nation. They are serving to it. Right? So, Serbia is going to become part of Austria-Hungary. Not unwilling. Now, to make matters worse, due to the history of the world, this is an area where three very different, very distinct religious groups intersect. They don't like it. Right? We have three different groups. We have Muslims, that's religious, Islam. We have Catholics, with Rome, a little bit hope that they're going to be like Greeks, Macedonian, Montenegrin, Bosnian Catholic. And you have the Serbians, which are Eastern Orthodox. Now, Eastern Orthodox Christian. Now, you don't hear much about Eastern Orthodox Christian because it's so relegated to Eastern Europe, this area. Okay? So basically, just heard of Constantine. What's the story about Constantine? He's little, he sees Constantinople, and what does he see above it? He sees a cross. He sees a cross above it, and legend has it that takes that as a sign of crush enemy of the sign of the cross. Now what happens is once he does that, you're going to have a split what is expected in Christianity. The Catholics in here? Okay, if you're a Catholic, you walk into a Catholic church, you go and you look at the top of over the altar there is a, what? Cross? And on the cross there is Jesus, not really Jesus, but there is a statue of Jesus. Now, if you're a Protestant, you don't know what we're talking about. Been in Catholic. That's wrong. But here's the deal. The Orthodox Christians, Eastern Orthodox, say, hey, no, that statue is a violation of the commandment that says, thou shalt not make images to worship. Right? Okay, I'm getting some nodded heads. Yeah. Okay, the Catholics go, no, that's not what the Bible means. It's not what God meant. All right? Go back to 300 AD and boom! Catholics, that's not what they meant. Eastern Orthodox, yeah, that's what they meant. Eastern Orthodox over here. So we've got Catholics, Muslim, and Eastern Orthodox. All in this little area. And they all hate each other. I did my master's thesis on Serbia. And what I discovered, that the scariest part, is when kids are around 2 to 3 years of age, they're taught to shoot. And the targets that they're encouraged to shoot at are Catholics and Muslims. Because that's what they do. This is known as the powder keg of Europe, because you have 3 different distinct religions all coming into the same area, and all it takes is one spark. That is all. Okay? So this is what we have. But heading into 1914, we have this arrangement right here. Now, to make matters worse, you have all these alliances. Wait, you say, Frankie, you haven't discussed this right here, Serbia. How does this all get involved? Well, here's how we do it. Serbia is Eastern Orthodox. So is Russia. Russia, big guy on the block. Serbia, little brother. Both of them speak the same language. Both of them use the same alphabet. Russia says, Serbia, my little brother. Take care of you. You're my peeps. Okay. Now, how many guys have a little brother? Okay. You come home from school one day, and you see your little brother getting beat up on the front porch. What are you going to do? You're going to dig it out. When I have 14 now. My 22, we were in Houston, and we were at a dom. My daughter and son up playing and like that big structure type thing. I hear this. Here. Down comes my daughter crying. Boy comes down. His older sister, she's yelling out, "Why'd you hit her? Why'd you hit her?" And and don't see parents around on his dad, and said, "Ben, are you okay?" Boy's like, hey. Ground, rah, half, right? So, now, of course, I can't do that because there's laws. A couple minutes later, the boy goes up, play structure again, and my 2-year-old son, Dylan, who's younger than takes off after. Minutes later here. The boy comes down crying. Dylan comes down. Now, some people told me that's wrong. I don't believe that. Okay? That's family. I told my kids if they get into a fight, it's better because they're defending another one. I don't care. Expelled, who cares? We had a fight at our old elementary. Jacob, my youngest at the time, got picked on by this boy, and his sister jumped in. Hannah jumped in. Then Jacob's boy, and that boy's sister got.
So it's like both on.
Yeah. And of course, the one thing I had here, I said, is, I like, okay, Dylan, where were you? Older brother, where were you? I already gone to class. Like, called PA. And talk to the teacher. Principal, like, no, there's no problem. This course school starts. No, it don't. But anyway, so that's kind of what we have. We've got the little brother, big brother attitude going. So Russia says, hey, man, what? So this is what happened. This is how all this looks. We have two armed camps, triple power, the Triple Alliance, also known as the official powers, and you have the Triple Entente, known as the Allies. The Triple Alliance is Germany, Austria, Italy. Ottoman Empire is going to jump in there at the end, like, woo! And you have the Allies, which is France, United States, and Russia. Now, remember how I said Austria-Hungary controls Serbia? They don't really like it. One day, the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was the heir to the Austrian throne, is traveling in Bosnia, which is right next to Serbia. He's in the city of Sarajevo. They knew he was coming. Sarajevo is his area, that's part of Austria-Hungary. What happened is a group of Serbian terrorists known as the Black Hand decide they're going to assassinate. So they set forth to do so. They and their groups. Now, they know the path that the car is going to take, that Franz Ferdinand is going to go. June 28, 1914, they are waiting. One of the individuals is a man by the name of Gabriel Princi. Gabriel Princi with a revolver. An attempt is made on Franz Ferdinand's life earlier in the day by a member of Black Hand. And as a result, the driver is able to see this coming, floors it on his car, and gets away. Now, Black Hand, realizing that their chance has been lost, disbands. Gabriel Prince goes to a restaurant and gets a sandwich. He's eating the sandwich on the front porch when, lo and behold, who comes by? The car carrying Franz Ferdinand's wife. He jumps up, grabs his pistol, and shoots Franz Ferdinand and kills him. Now, as a result, Austria has lost their crowned prince, their next king, dead. They, in turn, demand that Serbia turn over their the assassins. Now, Serbia didn't order this. They said, we didn't do this. This is not us. Austria says, do it anyway. Serbia's like, we don't know who these people are. How are we going to find people we don't know who they are? Austria says, you have a month to do this or we will declare war on you. They say this. Russia says, no, you won't. That's my brother. That's me. Austria says, Russia, you mess with us, you mess with our big brother, who is Germany. Russia says, oh yeah? Germany messes with us, you mess with France. France says, yeah, you mess with us, you mess with the United States. Italy says, I guess I'm not right. At first, Italy is on the side of power switch. Drop out. Going back in. This is what happened. This is what happened. How this whole thing starts. Okay. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh. Run out of space. So what happens is a month later, without being able to find Gabriel Prince, turn him in, even knowing who it is, Austria declares war on Serbia, which means Russia declares war on Austria, which means Germany declares war on Russia, which means France declares war on Germany, which means Germany declares war on France, which means England declares war on Germany. And the First World War has begun. The Entente is the Allies. You have England, France, and Russia. Now, as soon as this starts, the United States says, we are neutral. We are not in this at all. We don't want any of this. We are operating under the assumption the best thing we have going for it is that giant pond in between us. Fantastic. We like it. Now, we say we are neutral, but our markets are open for everyone. Okay, so you got the money, buy it from us. We're good. However, we side more mentally with England than we do anybody else, so we're very pro-British in our dealing. I saw some numbers when I was in grad school about the total amount of money that was spent and where it came from in World War I, and 90% of the money that came into the United States came in during World War I came from British. Now, England would play fast and loose with the rules of war and neutrality, and they would block any of the ships that we had going to Germany or any of the Central Powers. That's a violation of war, the rules of war, because we are a neutral power. However, we're not willing to do anything because England is our friend. Don't use the word ally. I don't want to use the word ally. We're not in this war. We're neutral. Now, because of this, because of these infringements, there's going to be a shakeup in Woodrow Wilson's cabinet. His Secretary of State is our good buddy William Jennings Bryan. Hey, finally he made it to a top position. And he can't stand the fact that we were saying that we were neutral, but in fact, what? We're not. We're siding with England. So he resigned. He's replaced by a man named Robert Lansing, who doesn't have any history. But at the end of 1915, now this is big. By the end of 1950, not even a year and a half into the war, England is almost bankrupt. Okay? That's a big deal. Why is that a big deal? Because up to World War I, London was the center of the economic flow. It was the number one economic power in the world. London was the chief. I can't think of the phrase, but it was the center of all economic activity in the world. Where is it today? What? New York City. That's right. It's New York City. New York City. There's some talk that's going to move to China. They are outpacing us. So what happened is England is almost bankrupt. Do we want them to win the war? Yes. However, Wilson is going to be approached by business leaders that said, hey, England is starting to have a hard time paying off their debt to us, and they come to their idol. That's a problem because if they can't buy our items, that our war munitions, that we are wanting to sell them, nobody else is going to buy them, but yet we're still producing them. If we produce more than we sell, they're not going to be purchased. And if it's not purchased, we don't cut back on production. If we cut down on production, people are going to be laid off. And if enough people are laid off, they're not going to have money to buy things. And we are going to head into an economic depression. Now, we do not have to tell you, these economic leaders said to Woodrow Wilson, that this is the year 1915. At the end of 1916 is a very important year, President, because he is up for re-election. Do you, they said, Mr. President, want to run for re-election in a depression? Which the answer, of course, would be no. Only one president has been re-elected to a second term in which the economy is worse. Not say was, I said is. President Obama. President Obama. All the economic indicators said So let's talk about some of the things that are going to change in warfare. One of those is the airplane. Told you at first they didn't know what it was. It was a novelty. It was kind of neat. Eventually, it is going to become a weapon to attack from the air and to attack other planes in the air. One of the major problems that they had to deal with at first was how to mount guns on an airplane. Originally, the guns were mounted on the fuselage in front of the pilot, which meant that in order for him to shoot, he had to take his hands off of the yoke, line up the plane with another plane, take your hands off the yoke, reach up there, grab the machine gun, grab it again before you lose control of the plane. Another problem is that if the machine guns are mounted on the fuselage, what is the problem? Here's the that's terrible. Here's the machine guns right here. Okay, looks like a frog. right here. Propellers. So the machine gun has to shoot between the propellers. At first, they didn't have that worked out. So what happened is when the propeller got to the machine gun, it shoot it off. Hopefully they discovered that on the ground. Eventually they create an interrupter that looks just like this, so that when it would stop the trigger when the propeller was in danger, and they were able to fix that problem. Now, who is this? Who is Snoopy? This is Snoopy in his World War I getup, and his arch enemy is the Red Baron. Was the Red Baron real? Absolutely. His name was Baron Manfred Albrecht Friar von Richter. Picture of him right there. He is the greatest ace of the First World War. That confirmed 80 kills. Nobody came close. He's famous for using his tri-wing Hawker DR-1. Kind of does triple wing. Eventually, he would be shot down. They didn't have parachutes back then, so he either tried to jump out really low, or bring it to a successful crash. Brought a successful crash, but he suffered a severe head and different accounts that healed his depth perception. He wasn't by agree that enough to last. But basic warfare has changed with the invention of the airplane. Another item that is going to see its use, something that has been around since Alexander the Great. That is a submarine. Now, the submarine, Alexander the Great has a account of him being in almost like a giant glass bowl that he goes to, they fund water and short distance. And in the Civil War, you had Confederate ship Hundley. But these are really more submersibles. They're not like the submarines that we know today. These are submersibles. Basically what they were boats that would go on the surface, get to a shipping lane, and then when they saw, they're very low to the surface, you can see, it's difficult to see from a distance. And then what would happen is, when they saw a ship on the horizon, and it get in danger of detecting, they would blow their ballast, and they would sink a little bit under the water. Put the periscope up, and then when they got within range, and the ship got within range, they would fire torpedoes. These aren't the torpedoes that we have today. They're called fire and got or sensors that are taken. These are just dumb bombs, just like a propeller that goes and hits it and blows up. Now, this is going to be used sparingly at first. It's going to become more successful, especially by the Germans when they realize how useful they are. They're very inexpensive, but they're also very fragile. What happens is that many ships, when they see a U-boat periscope on the surface, they would turn their ship where they saw it and run over it, because the keel of a humongous 600-ton ship, 600,000-ton ship, is going to easily break the back of a U-boat. Now, they're called U-boats. The Germans call them U-boats because their official name is Unterseeboot, undersea, and that's what they're called U-boats. At the start of the war, Great Britain has the most. France is second, Russia is third, the United States is fourth, Germany is fifth. That's all. Now, when the war begins, Germany is going to blockade Great Britain. You're going to say, we are not any ship going to Great Britain. Flying British flag will be sunk. Woodrow Wilson lets the German ambassador know that's not a good idea. If you're attacking merchant ships, that's one thing. If you're attacking civilian ships, that is passenger ships, that is something different. So what happens in Germany once they do this? They issue in all the newspapers this notice. It says, "Notice, travelers intending to embark on the Atlantic voyage are reminded that a state of war exists in Germany and her allies, Great Britain. And her allies, and that the zone of war includes waters adjacent to the British Isles. That, in accordance with the notice given by the Imperial German government, vessels flying the flag of Great Britain or of any of her allies are liable to destruction in those waters, and that travelers sailing in the war zone of ships of Great Britain or her allies do so at their own risk. Love, the Imperial German Embassy." I love that. So what happens is Germany says, "Hey, we let everybody know." All right? On May 7th, 1915, off the coast of Ireland, a British passenger ship, kind of like we would think of a cruise ship today, like a Carnival cruise ship, carrying 2,000 citizens from New York, is sunk by a German U-boat. She sinks in 30 minutes, killing all 2,000, of which 139 are Americans. Now, Americans are furious. As far as they're concerned, this is the equivalent of sinking the Maine that took us into the war with Spain. Okay, American lives have been lost. Now, was the Lusitania flying a British flag? Yes. Was the Lusitania not following was the Lusitania not following British procedures to take a zigzag course to avoid torpedoes? No, she was not. She was sunk, and tragic amount of lives lost. Now, interestingly enough, ship sinks 30 minutes. Now, how many of you have seen Titanic? All the girls, you guys are like, how long did it take that ship to sink? It took 6 hours. Really? 6 hours for it to sink. Lusitania sinks in 30 minutes. Why? Her cargo, even though she was a passenger ship, was munitions. Titanic's 1911. It was 19.
If they already knew about this.
Knew about what?
About the sinking of Titanic.
Yes.
And what changed that would happen. Why did they do that?
Well, I think they avoided ice.
No, the making of like better and more.
Okay. Why? There's a whole bunch of problems. Right? There's all. You had the concept of going really in areas very safe. You had other areas issue. If not enough lifeboats, what have whole concept of unseen ship, stuff like that, and the fact that I don't know when it was taken. I just read recently. Growing up on Saturday, we watched Love. All right, have you ever heard the Love Boat? You guys know, it's a Princess Cruise Line ship. Okay, I'm 39. This was probably 78 to 84 on. The ship they used filming just now retired. Okay, so it's been 34 years at least. least. How old are the Lusitanians? I don't know. You're not going to go and retrofit ships to meet God. Most people, they thought Titanic. So when the Lusitania sinks in 30 minutes, something is wrong, they realize. Something is wrong that it shouldn't have sunk that quickly. Americans are furious. Theodore Roosevelt publicly says this is an act of piracy and we must attack Germany. Now Woodrow Wilson, being Woodrow Wilson, responds and says, sometimes a man should bow. To which Theodore Roosevelt says, that's the damnedest thing I've ever heard. The United States warned German ambassadors that this got to stop, or else they would run taking more action issue. But unrestricted submarine warfare continues. Now, I say it's unrestricted. I haven't actually defined that term. Like that. Unrestricted submarine warfare, which means what I described to you already. Is having term. You see a ship on the horizon, you sink. The ship gets in thin range, you fire. Nothing is announced. Okay, nothing is announced. Like, why would you announce? Well, you'll see in a second. So, what happens is Germany kind of gets away with the slap on the wrist, this issue. Then on March 24th, 1916, a French ferry going from France to England is going to be sunk by a German U-boat in the English Channel. And what happens is 50 people lose their lives. Now, it's a ferry. Have you guys been on the ferry to go from Galveston to what is it? Crystal Beach? Yeah, it's that. That's what we're talking about. A ferry like that. 50 people lose their lives. Called the French ship the Sussex. Wilson says, listen, Germany, that's enough. You're going to stop unrestricted submarine warfare, or we're going to break diplomatic ties. If we break diplomatic ties, one step way more. You don't want that. Germany realizes they don't want that. Okay, they do realize it. But the problem is they're starting to think, how can we win the war before the United States gets in? So what they do is they say, okay, they issued the Sussex Pledge. And the Sussex Pledge says that from now on, Germany will engage in restricted submarine warfare. So what will happen now is that a German U-boat will be underwater, a ship will come up, German U-boat will pop up, say, hey, we're going to sink your ship. Get everybody off your ship. Once everybody is on lifeboat, they would sink the ship. Okay? Your enemy loses war material, but there are no loss of life. Right? Now, Germany says, okay, we'll do that. They don't like it because what can happen? Now, these U-boats are very, very frail. If you put a machine gun on the top of them, blow it out of the water, you could ram it, kill everybody on board, or you could just full speed ahead and usually outrun it, because these things are very slow. But they agreed to do this. Keep the United States happy. Keep us out of war. Now, the face of war changes in the First World War. Completely different than any other war that we have fought. This war is going to be fought on every continent except for Antarctica. There's going to be some battle fought. It is in the First Battle of the Marne, which occurs in September of 1914, that the Allies and the Central Powers realized that the old ways of war no longer work. It used to be you had your cannon, you had your cavalry, and you had your infantry. The infantry marched close to their infantry. Cannon would fire at the other guy's infantry, and then they would kneel and they would shoot. They'd fire. One side would be demoralized, and they would run for their lives, and the cavalry would go and chop them up. One side. A lot of things have changed. Instead of having cannons that can fire 1,000 yards, we have cannons that can fire 10 miles. So you have, those are called set pieces. They're set. They just fire. So we'll have, especially when we get to Vietnam, we'll have set piece battles, and it's just really kind of the way we go to war. That's what we know. We fight set piece battles, and in Korea and Vietnam, that's no place for that. So what happens is you have these giant cannons that can shoot over 10 miles. And at the same time, men can't advance on one another's position because of an invention that had first shown itself right at the very conclusion of the Civil War, called the Gatling. Gatling gun, a whole bunch of barrels, and a crane that shoots out the bullets. That was the first machine. Since then, they have been made completely different, and they can shoot more bullets than that. And a group of men trying to attack a machine gun nest is going to be obliterated. So something has to change. The first thing that changes is the invention of trench warfare. So what happens is you have both sides digging in to the ground around them. This is going to be important because after the war, you're what are you actually physically digging into? The ground. What is it used for when it's not being fought over for war? Crops. What happens is during World War I, the farmlands of all these nations that are at war are going to be destroyed and they can't feed themselves. Where are they going to get their food? United States. The United States says, all right, we'll do that. Power to you. So we dig these elaborate trenches, and then you would have like a no-man's land. You'd have battles trying to knock the people out of their trenches into the other trenches over this short distance between the two. Now, in order to try to make it possible for the British soldiers to take over or to capture German trenches, England is going to create something they call a barrel. We call it today a tank. First tank is going to be seen at the Battle of Marne. Basically what it is it's a two treads that can go over any type of dirt, go over the trenches, and is armored so that when it gets to a machine gun nest, it can fire a cannon, it can fire a flamethrower, what have you, at this machine gun nest, while soldiers are behind it, safe. Now, that was planned. First tank was called Little Willie, and it experienced more problems than things that it helped. But we see it introduced. It changed warfare as well. Break down on things I remember correctly, they were early. They were gasoline engines, so they didn't have the same gusto. Now, in 1916, beginning of 1916, Germany can read the writing on the wall. Only a matter of time until the United States come into this war, and they do not want that. Because right now, they are close to, or they believe they are close to knocking out France. However, they are fighting a two-front war. They're fighting the Russians on the eastern front, and they're fighting the French and the English on the eastern, western. Sorry. So Germany is going to decide to try to capture Paris and defeat France. In order to do that, they need to take the railroad junction at the French city of Verdun. So they launch an assault on February 21st, 1916. concentrating on taking Verdun and then defeating Paris. If you defeat Paris, they will surrender. Then England will be fighting a war without a secure landing base in Europe. That's the plan. Once that occurs, thanks to the U-boats, Germany could then starve Great Britain and force them to sue peace. Now, why are they pulling out of the Eastern Front with Russia? Well, see, Russia is about to rebel, about ready to have what is called the Bolshevik Revolution. Communism is about ready to erupt in Russia, and monarchy is about ready to become the Soviet Union. So the eve of revolution, and they realize that Russians aren't really interested in fighting us, they're interested in fighting themselves. So we're not too worried about this moment. We're going to concentrate the majority of our forces on this one battle. Turns out to be the longest battle in the history of the world. Neither side is able to knock the other out. What Germany thought would be easy to do to take Verdun is impossible. How many guys like Lord of the Rings? Okay, Lord of the Rings, Gandalf at the underground king in Mora, and is facing the Balrog. Now, writers write their experience. True? Yes? J.R.R. Tolkien, World War I vet, he was at the Battle of Verdun. French declared in this battle that their phrase that they passed on to one another was "Ils sont non pas." French term, "non pas," means you shall not pass. You shall not get past us. If you've seen Lords of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf versus Balrog, what does he say? You shall not pass. That is, for them, they're the last line. British give up, they give up. So Germany shifts the attack. Eventually, they settle down to winter quarter. Now, I told you about battleships. Talked about these battleships getting bigger and bigger to this race. Remember, Germany decides that they're going to have two ships for every one. For every 3 ships that England has, Germany would have 2. Because why? To be the best, you have to be the best. This brings us to the Battle of Jutland of the North Sea on May 31st through June 1st, 1960, right here. Largest battleship engagement in this war. This is a German poster that shows the ship's loss at the Battle of Jutland. Give you an idea of what we have involved. The Allies have 151 combat ships, 28 battleships, 9 battleships, 8 armored, there's 26 light cruisers, there's 7 gate destroyers, 1 mine layer, 1 seaplane carrier. The Germans have 99, 16 battleships, 5 battles, there's 6 pre-dreadnoughts, 11 light cruisers, 6 torpedo boats. In the end, the Allies suffer 6,000 killed, 674 wounded, 177 captured. Germans 2,500 killed, 507 wounded. The Allies with 3 battle cruisers, 3 armored cruisers, 8 destroyers destroyed. Germans 1 battle, 1 dreadnought, 4 light cruisers, 5 torpedo boats. Both sides claimed victory. come from, they come back to here, is that they realize this is too expensive, both in manpower and in capital shifts, to ever wait again. Okay? As a result, Germany's going to say, we can't have another victory like this. It cost us too much. As a result, they're going to turn their attention to smaller, more effective weapons. They are U-boats. Same destruction, less men. So, as all this is going on, Wilson is going to follow a policy that he calls of preparedness. Not going to war, here not actively seeking war, but if war comes to us, we'll be ready. We will be ready if that time comes. Heading into the election, the Democrats renominate him, and they run on the standard of peace without victory, and vote Wilson. He kept us out of the war. It's always funny. Love. Because guess what? What's going to happen? Supplies. We're going to go to war. Vote Wilson. We're going to go to vote Wilson. He said, vote Wilson when we'll go to war. Would anybody vote? No, we never vote. Can't take us to war. So he seeks to get peace without victory. To do this, he has dispatched some of his best friends to go over to Germany and meet with Kaiser Wilhelm to try to figure out a peaceful solution, get everybody at both sides to lay down their arms. Republicans nominate Charles B. Hughes, then he read his Republicans. It doesn't really matter because Wilson wins. Substantial. Now, with Wilson winning a second term, pursuing a policy of preparedness, Germany can read writing on the wall, and they see that the United States is ever closer to winning, to Germany, the United States is ever closer to entering into war. They have to stop. Their desire is to defeat England and France and make them sue for peace before that time comes to the United States. So they announced on January 21st, 1970, that unrestricted submarine warfare will return, knowing that this will tick the United States off. Breaking the Sussex Pledge. But no longer will a ship come by and you go to surface and say, hey, everybody get off the ship, we're going to sink it. Just sink it. Then, 3 days before he is inaugurated for a second time, the British reveal to the United States what is known as the Zimmerman telegram. It is a telegram to the German-Mexican ambassador. German ambassador to Mexico, named Zimmerman. It is a telegram from the German High Command, and it says, please inform the President of Mexico that should the United States attack Germany, Mexico should feel free to attack the United States. And if they attack the United States, once this war is over and the United States has been defeated, everything that the United States has taken away from Mexico will be returned. Back in 2007, Absolute Vodka caused a huge storm by publishing this picture in Mexico. The Absolute world Mexico would look like this, all the way back up to Washington State. That's what they promised. Now, as you can imagine, when this becomes public, this whole area of the nation, which has kind of been like, we're not too worried about it. Yeah, we're not worried about it. Get ticked. We don't think so. No. Hey, it's Texas. We stole it fair and square. Okay? It's ours. So, was Mexico ever interested in doing that? No. However, it ticks Wilson off, and Wilson starts getting a lot of pressure from Southerners saying, what are you going to do about this? We've got to declare war. You guys are idiots. Final straw comes on March 17, 1917, when word that the Bolshevik Revolution, Russian Revolution, has erupted in Russia. Russia is now racked by civil war. The Tsar and his family have been their castle has been stormed, and the Tsar and his family have been assassinated and buried in unmarked mass graves. The new Russian leaders will sign with Germany the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, which ends Russia's involvement in the war. Now, who's this? Every girl should know this. Anastasia. This is the German Russian princess who, for about 70 years, is rumored to have survived. People show up claiming to be her all the time. They made that cartoon about it. You know, it's pretty good. Rasputin's a little bit too far. Crazy. Not really that insane. He's insane, but not that insane. And I think that was a way. But in '99, Anastasia, they found the grave, dug it up, found her skeleton. Now, what's interesting is when Russia pulls out of the war, it's like a light switch flicks in Wilson's head. See, Germany is a monarchy. Austria is a monarchy. Russia was a monarchy. France was a republic. England was a constitutional monarchy. That means the queen, well, actually, the king is head of the government, but the government is elected, so it's a democracy, but not by one person. So what happens here is when Russia's out, all that's left is democracy. So Wilson's like, whoa, this is a battle for democracy. And it's like, okay, now we can go to war. And so he asks Congress on April 6, 1970, to give him, or to recognize that a state of war with Germany exists. So the United States enters the war. It's granted that we go to war with Germany, join the Allies. Now, as Donald Rumsfeld said back when we went into Iraq the second time, you go to war with the army you have, not the army that you want. So what he meant by that is, so your army's never ready. Our army's very small. We're not ready to go over there. And even if we did, there's a lot of problems. However, the first thing that we can do is we can make sure that our allies have everything they need. As a result, we provide the Emergency Loan Act, 1917, provides $5.5 billion worth of loans to the Allies. Now, in order for us to get our goods from the United States over to Europe, where they can fight Germany, we are going to need to clear the shipping lane. All the U-boats in that area. So we're going to start dispatching our Navy along with our merchant fleet to take the ship, take the goods over to the ship. To get our Army mobilized, we would pass the Selective Service Act. It's called for every male over the age of 18 to register selective service and then draft. At the height of the war, we would have 2 million. We would have 2 million men in Europe. Now, our goal in clearing the shipping lanes eventually is we have to secure the seas, because it's one thing for us to lose a ship of supplies, and it's quite another to lose a ship filled with 20,000 soldiers, correct? Yes. Do not. It's one thing to lose $2 million worth of goods, quite another to lose 20,000 lives because a U-boat sank. So our first goal is to clear those areas. Now, the Navy is going to be very effective with this. On average, up to 1917, German U-boats sank around 870,000 tons of shipping per month. 870,000. When the United States gets involved, we're going to cut that down substantially by the time January 1918 rolls around. Cut it almost by 2/3 down to 300,000 tons. And then by October 1918, it's 112,000 tons. So a little over a year, that 18 months, a little about over 18 months, we are going to cut it down to an eighth of what it was. Now, interestingly enough, the Allies didn't tell us how bad that was until we actually declared war. Probably expected us to know, but one thing you kind of discovered on your own. So once the seas are secured, we're able to start sending our supplies as well as our men there. Now, first group that is ready to go, General John Blackjack Pershing and the American Expeditionary. Where did we leave them last? Where were they? Who are they searching for? They're in Mexico looking for Pancho Villa. Okay, so we go and we grab them, we put them on ships, we send them over. They arrive, and one of the first things they do once they arrive, it's not going to take 10,000 men to send them to war. It's just not going to That's not going to happen. What they do is, on July 4th, 1917, they do a tribute to Lafayette. Remember, the Marquis de Lafayette was a French young man who, during the American Revolution, had impressed Benjamin Franklin, gotten a letter of introduction, gone over to fight the American Revolution. Washington liked him so much, made him a general. So, to show the French that we were coming, and we were coming in numbers, Pershing and his men would give a tribute. They would march with their barracks to Lafayette's tomb on July 4th, 1917, and declare all the French were ecstatic. Lafayette, we are here to help you. Same way that French helped Americans in American Revolution, we are there to help them in their hour of need. Now, at first, the Americans were not looked at as being going to be very effective. They were called doughboys because while the war had been going on for 3 years, Americans had been at home making money and being fat and lazy. They were kind of expecting kind of pudgy. Now, when the Americans arrived, completely different. One of the things that, how many of you guys have ever met a Frenchman? You've ever met somebody from France, not like a Cajun from France? Yes. How tall? Really tall? Okay, take the chance. Not tall at all. Like this. Okay, why? Don't have much protein in their regular diet. Okay, we eat steak for the fun of it. There you go. Wow. Let the rest of the cow die. Just take a steak off. Right, so what happens is the average Frenchman and Englishman are probably about this tall. Average Americans about 6'1" to 6'3". They go over there. We're stronger, we're bigger, and very quickly the name doughboy is going to lose any negative connotation because they're looked at as giants by things that they do as soon as we get over there, and this is going to be something that's a problem, and we're going to realize this when it comes time to fight, is that when troops arrive, they are going to be added to existing divisions of French, of American, of British divisions, and they're just going to be attacked. Here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. All right? And so you're going to have French generals commanding American troops. This is not going to work out very well because they want to think what we. And so as a result, World War II, are going to say, no, that's terrible. Now, in an attempt to try to knock out Germany, to knock out France, before the Americans can arrive, Germany is going to launch a spring offensive. They're going to attack this place called Belleau Wood, which is right here, area. And they're going to attack. And the French, like the French have done before, when they are facing overwhelming odds, they are going to order a retreat, to dig trenches, and to settle into these trenches. Now, the Americans there are commanded, American troops there are Marines commanded by General James Carboy. He is going to order his men to lie prone. Not retreat, lie prone, lay down. And they lay down, and when they do, he waits till the Germans get within 100 yards before they fire. Germans are beat back. So what happens is we see already in the first action that we're not going to fight, the Germans team is not going to fight the same way. On June 11th, in the Battle of Belleau Wood, American Marines are ordered to go and attack what they believe is a small, lightly defended area. They stumble into the most heavily defended aspect of the German line. When they do, they're outnumbered, outgunned, they run out of bullets. It comes down to bayonets and fists. In one detachment, 120 Germans, only 30 escaped. There's a record of a German calling for assistance, saying that we need as many men as you can get here. The Americans are here, and they are reckless fellows. Because of the Marines, they are able to knock German defense out of Belleau Wood. All right, that's where we will end for the day, and we will pick up. We will pick up again on